your values. Now, if I ran into Jerry, younger, and she's like, I want to be married legally. And I'm like, well, once we're dating, once we're married, once we commit, and once I'm saying, this is my girlfriend, this is the person I want to spend my life with, we're working towards building a life together. So we're already committed. She's going to say, no, I want to be married by law. So that's obviously going to be an issue between us because we have to come to understanding on what does it mean to be married? What does it mean to be committed? What does marriage do for us? We need to break all that down because she might change my mind. She might say, okay, listen, I want something happens to you. I want to have the comfort of making sure I get everything I put into this relationship and your family doesn't get it or our kids don't just get it. I have say over what happens with your estate, which legally is what needs to go on. I might say, well, we got a will for that. I might want to draw up a will and do all that and say, nah, I'd rather our relationship stay spiritual. I don't want another person in it. I don't want another person poking their nose in our issues or our relationship. I want to keep between us. But at the same time, we could have a will that now legally binds you to my assets and vice versa. So we would have that back and forth, but that's a part of the process of truly, I'm not going to commit to a person and then have the discussion. I'm going to have the discussion before we commit when I'm trying to get to know somebody to make sure that I'm meeting a person that shares my core values. And if they don't share my core values, I'm making sure that I'm entering a relationship with somebody who agrees with my core values and I agree with their core values so we can both honor those core values. Like I want to make it clear we don't when we say meet people that share your values, doesn't mean going in when you meet them, they have your values, they have their core values, and you have your core values. But when you sit and put both core values on the table, now you're saying to yourself, we're merging, we're two becoming one. So we have to decide what core values are definite and we can both honor and what core values we can't. And if your core values are your faith and what you aren't going to budge on, then somebody that can't honor one core value, they're not going to probably be a person you want to be in a relationship with, even though they cover a large percentage of your core values. They're non-negotiables.
It's funny that you even brought that up because as I was making a video yesterday, I was thinking that's one of the videos that I want to touch on. Two seemingly good people don't necessarily belong together. You know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I may have positive core values and you may have core values that are good, but they may not be aligned and we may not be able to still coexist. You know what I mean? Like as a couple. Maybe as well, friend. Well, that's exactly where we are in general in life, right? Like we don't coexist as a couple because although I have core values and you have core values, they're not aligned enough for us to be in a romantic relationship together.
Definitely.
And I think that people, that's where we go wrong. And I know I have gone wrong in quite a few of my relationships where I think because they have some of the men that I would meet had core values that were good. And I thought that they had some things that were good. I had some things that were good. How could we not work?
Yeah.
How could we not?
I mean, our core values, we wouldn't be friends if our core values didn't align. So our core
I
values
know,
align. Our
but I just wanted to give the example of why we're friends, why
No, I
like.
know why we're friends instead of partners. Our interests don't align. So we
Mhm.
decided to maintain a friendship, but our interests don't align. So though our core values align, where I could depend on you to believe in the same things, like I could call you out based on the core values we signed on for.
Yeah.
I always can call you out. I always can keep you grounded. You always can call me out. You always can keep me grounded. If we're not doing something that fits what we agreed upon as a core value, we both can call each other out. So we both are in an accountable relationship. But the reason why we won't be romantic is because one, we don't have that same intimate connection. Two, we don't share the same interests when it comes to being in a romantic relationship. So a lot of people think that that's all it is. No, you have to also share the interest. That's why your partner is a notch above your friend
Mhm.
because y'all coexist. Y'all are building an actual life together. So y'all do share a large percentage of interests that are aligned, not just like your friends share a little less interest than your partner shares.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
You know, or it can even be as simple as I want more kids, you don't.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not going to be partners because you have you don't want kids and I want kids. So why would I invest in a romantic relationship with you versus just being friends, maintaining a friendship and finding partners that we can actually have the same core values with, that want kids, and in your case that doesn't want children.
Why I gotta
Right?
be the one who don't want kids?
Huh?
I said, why I gotta be the one who don't want kids?
Because you're the one that don't want kids.
I don't want kids.
You don't want no more kids,
No,
is
I
what I'm
don't want any
saying.
more kids.
So
But
I
yeah,
use that
but
as
I
an
just wanted
example.
to,
That wouldn't
but
be the reason, but I use it as an example.
I just wanted to give that food for thought, because I used to think that, I would meet a seemingly good guy and he would be the answer to what I needed in a relationship, and that's not always that's not always the case.
Nowhere near the case, yeah.
So it's one of those things, like, just because two good people come together don't mean that they're gonna make the dynamic couple. They could probably they may be able to be friends, maybe not. But like you said, there's other things that make up a relationship, and interest is one of them. But just because it's good, two good things don't mean that it's a. I mean, I
Oh,
yeah, two good things doesn't mean that it's always going to be a positive in your life.
definitely, definitely, especially if it's a strain to take care of it, or you're hindering
Yeah.
somebody else's progress. So you have to make sure that not only do you have the same core values, like we said, the first thing is define your core values.
Hmm.
Second thing is meet people who share your core values. So now we're talking about what core values we have in common. Now we're talking about, can we coexist? Now we're talking about, do we have a future? Now we're talking about, how do we have a future? Do we have a future as friends? Do we have a future as a partnership, being that, we both are attracted to the opposite sex? So we are opposite sex friends, right? So
Yeah.
we now have to discuss, do we have a future as romantic partners? And once we realize, okay, we don't have a future as romantic partners, but we do have a future as friends because we share the same core values, that's now through discussion. That's now taking the time to really see if you share the same core values. Where a lot of people go wrong is they just say, oh, I want to be kind, I want to be compassionate. Those are tools. Those are things you use where, when they're necessary, when they're needed. But it's a virtue, but it's not necessarily a core value. You can be compassionate, and you can be caring, and you can be all these things with strangers. Core values is things you want to invest in and bring to somebody's life on a regular basis. So loyalty, you're not loyal to a stranger.
No.
You're loyal to the people you care about. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're loyal to a stranger, they're not loyal to you. There's no agreement there. There's no connection there. How are you truly holding a stranger accountable unless you know that stranger's core values?
Hmm.
So, or associate or acquaintance. So you have to, when you think of core values, think of what binds a connection together, what makes two or more people coexist as a unit on a daily basis. And that's what would decide whether, you share the same core values, because you don't even have to share the same core values with your family members.
Well, a lot of times you don't.
Yeah. So that's relationships we don't touch on, because we only talk about accountable relationships, which are relationships you sign on for, you consciously sign on for. A family member you don't consciously sign on for. They're
But you
bonded
know
by
what?
that.
It's funny, and I don't really want to deviate from what we're talking about right now,
But you're
but
going to deviate from what we talk about.
it just hit me right now. Like, the reason why we struggle with family is because we don't share the same core values, but yet we're still trying to maintain a relationship.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why we struggle with our family members is because a lot of times we don't share the same core values, but we're still trying to have a relationship.
Definitely.
And not I see you every so often relationship, but like, I want to be in your life type of relationship.
Hmm.
And that's why it's really a struggle for most people, because they don't they want to be there because they are family, but because they don't share the same core values, is a struggle.
Definitely.
And they don't, and they don't want to give up on the relationship because it's family, but they also don't want to establish that they have different core values either. So that's where it kind of gets